Hello everyone, Books with Banks back again with another video. Today I'm back with another video about Kharkanas, but it's not strictly speaking an analysis video about any characters, nothing like that. This will be a bit of a shorter one today. Before I kind of get too far along, if you haven't already, it really would mean a lot if you could please like, subscribe, share with your friends if you're enjoying the content that I do here. But for today, I wanted to talk about Kharkanas, again, not too surprising if you follow my channel at all. Kharkanas being the prequel trilogy that Steven Erikson is writing, trilogy to his longer, and I'd say more famous, 10-volume Malazan Book of the Fallen. And these books, only two of them have been released so far, in 2012 and 2016. In 2012 we got Book 1, Forge of Darkness, 2016, Book 2, Fall of Light, and the third book is being worked on right now. It won't be the next thing Erikson releases, but it's a work in progress. Anyway, back when I was reading Book of the Fallen, I picked up this nice, larger kind of, I guess, trade paperback is what we call this edition of Forge of Darkness, and I never have actually read this version of the book. This is not my favorite format of book to hold and read, to physically read through. However, I'm really glad that I held on to it, and I'm glad I have as many copies of this book that I do, so that if anyone ever needs me to lend the book to them, to maybe give them a flavor of what Erikson's writing is like. Or maybe they've read Malazan Book of the Fallen and don't know if they want to try anything else out. I'm happy I have this and some of my other copies to be able to, pass around, share, try and inspire more love for this series. So yeah, that was the first one that I got, first edition I got. However, I've never read it, never read the words in this specific book. Then, 2018, I was about to go on a trip in Europe, and I knew I wanted to bring a sail along, a sail being book 6 in Ian Esselmont's Novels of the Malazan Empire series. So I was going to finish that up, and I thought, okay, if I'm really going to, if that book, A Sail, is going to get me back into the Malazan world, I might finally pick up Forge of Darkness, and dive into Erikson's prequels, which I've heard are slightly more difficult reads, but I figured with the travel, I'd have a lot of time on the planes, on trains going from country to country. And also, I was happy to find at a Barnes & Noble, I believe it was at Barnes & Noble, a mass market paperback edition of Forge of Darkness. Any videos I've done talking about this book or this series, usually this is the version that I'm going off of. I try to be specific if I'm citing any scenes from this book. You can see it's got notes in it right now for a Centauro video I'm working on. I try to say specifically this page in this edition of the book. This is what I read. I loved it. I lent this to my brother to read, and I believe he read this version as well. I believe. Amazing time reading this. And again, I do really like the mass market paperback format. I just find it more accessible, and for some reason it helps my reading speed. That was the second one I had, and really the only copy, the only edition of this book that I've read is this book. But then, kind of the main event, the main thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm so excited for, is in the mail the other day, I just got Subterranean Press's Forge of Darkness, their specialty publishing version. That artwork on the front is a character named Erikson in the book, and this book is beautiful. This is the third subpress that I've gotten, and of the three I have, if I had to rank the books, I have the first time that subpress did Reaper's Gale, I have one of those. The second printing, I have a Dead House Gates. I just got that recently, and then this one. I'd say this ranks in the middle of those books as far as how much I enjoy the actual story, but I might like the artwork the best with this. All of these illustrations are done by Grant Griffin, and even though none of the art really depicts much action, I think I'm guessing what Grant Griffin is doing here is kind of is zeroing in on on a big kind of idea and a main focal point of at least one of the characters' introspection, long thought processes in this book. So yeah, love that cover. Real subtle, real kind of toned down. You know, like very serious, almost grim, and I think that's a decent way to characterize this book. Yeah. So then we take off the dust jacket. This is the book, and I love the texture. I really like the color too, and I like the wording on the side. Yes. And let me just go through, show you how some of the, like the table of contents is laid out like so beautifully. And I want to show you, this is one of the first illustrations. I'm not sure if who's that supposed to be. I'm wondering, that might be Draconis on his horse there. Notice also, yeah, just kind of one solitary figure, not particularly an action scene. And the next image, this one's definitely more of a portrait. There's everyone's favorite, Anamander Rake. Yes. This is Haut and Coria. They're one of my favorite kind of duos, characters in this book, and in this whole prequel trilogy so far. One of my earliest videos, I talk about parenting and what Erikson's exploring with parental responsibility, and I talk about them a lot. I really, really love it. If I had to pick one piece of artwork from this book that's my favorite, it's probably this one. And then just one more, but I think it's one of the most interesting ones, because we've seen the faces of the characters that we've been shown before, and because of where this illustration is inserted in the book, what's being described nearby, and the sort of gear that it looks like the character's wearing on their back. I think this is Kataspala. We don't see his face. And I think that's a really interesting point that the artist is making. I don't know, it's just had my mind going for a little bit now, thinking about how, okay, so this book, portraiture and painting and presenting people in a more glorious light than maybe they actually deserve. That's a big kind of theme with Forge of Darkness. And I just love that when we finally get an image of the painter, his back's turned to us. It's a very sad, kind of depressing representation. So yeah, I think Grant Griffin, as subtle as a lot of these pieces were, I think he absolutely knocked it out of the park. I'm not sure who Subpress has lined up to do Fall of Light, but if they went with Grant Griffin again, I would definitely not complain. Yeah, I'm so happy to have this copy, especially I feel like having this book in my collection now. It felt really important that I particularly get this Subpress because Kharkanas gave me so many things to think about and want to talk about on YouTube. And it's specifically Fall of Light. These books are why I started my channel, because I wanted there to just be a little bit more conversation about these books. So yeah, I'm really, really happy to have this book. That's Forge of Darkness, the Subpress 2023 edition. Oh, and this is number, of the 500 numbered copies, this is copy number 20. Yeah. So, let me know if you've looked at this artwork, what you think about it. If you've read the book, your thoughts on the book just in general. If you have Subpress, are you ever going to get Subpress? Do you want them? Do you collect books? Yeah. So these are all of my editions of Forge of Darkness, and of course, my favorite is this newest one, but this one holds a very special place in my heart as where I actually experienced this story for the first time.